Grab your scrap fabric and let's slow it down a little bit and make a cozy, scrappy log cabin quilt block. And we'll make it quilt as you go. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm Jackie and I love using scrap fabric to make quilt blocks, quilt as you go projects, and all sort of scrappy creations. Today is all about slow sewing. It's just one of those days. Just me, my scraps, and a warm cup of tea. No rushing, no pressure, just scrap happy sewing. Today we'll be working on a very scrappy log cabin quilt block. I'm working on getting through my never-ending scrap pile. The block starts with a 12-inch center. So here is our log cabin block, and we're going to be adding a mitered border. And don't worry, it's easier than you think. And it's okay, give it a try. I did mess up on one of these. It didn't quite turn out, so I just zigzagged it shut. It's fine. This quilt will be for me, but I wanted to try going with a larger block. So by adding that border, we will trim it down to 16 inches by 16 inches. This is the kind of block that I love for quiet, relaxed sewing days. And remember, no rules, no perfection. What you're going to need are just some strips, any size will do, and some squares. I have some squares somewhere. And again, it doesn't matter what size the squares are because we're just going to sew around them. So easy. You will need some pins. If you're a pinner, you'll need scissors, your sewing machine and thread. That's about it. Just your basic sewing notions. Speaking of tea, I wanted to share something with you that I have been loving lately. I've been drinking and enjoying the tea from a company called Full Leaf Tea Company. They offer USDA organic teas. My favorite right now is their holy basil tea. I just love it. It's calming, it relieves stress, and it helps me fall asleep so much faster. I just drink a cup of it before I go to bed, and it has become part of my evening routine. No more racing minds. I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but it is a thing. Anyway, I will leave a link in the description box below. Plus, if you use the code Jackie20, all of you will get 20% off your entire order. And I just want to tell you that as an affiliate, I do receive a small commission and I appreciate your support immensely. All right, let's get to making that scrappy log cabin quilt block. First of all, let's talk about the fabrics that you're going to need. Any strips. Some of mine are 2.5, some of them are 2 inches. And then you'll need your squares. Again, I've got all different sizes here. It doesn't matter, we're trying to use up our scrap stash. So whatever you have, bring it on, right? But you only need 2 squares for the center. Then what you're going to need, we're going to make this quilt as you go. You'll need a piece of batting. In this case, I have just some fleece that I had left over from previous projects. I just cut it to 18 because I want to have enough room to trim. You will need, for your border, 4 pieces of fabric that are 18 by 3 inches. If you want your border larger, that's fine. You could go 3.5 inches, however big you want to make your block. And then you'll need a piece of backing fabric. Again, I made my backing fabric 18 by 18 just so I have enough room to trim, because I did trim these down to 16 inches. But when you're sewing, things shift. So we just want to make sure we have enough room. Once I had it all constructed, I did add the borders, like I said. I mitered the corners, and I did have some challenges with one of them, which is fine because we're learning. But what I love about this process is these blocks are so big. You only need 3 blocks in a row by 4 rows to get a nice lap quilt. And then here's the back of this one. So I'm just using up scrap fabric. Here's the back of this one. And all I did is I just made squiggly lines on my sewing machine to quilt it. No rhyme or reason. Let's see if you can see some of those. There you go. As you can see, I was just kind of drawing on my quilt block. Nothing fancy there. But it looks so cozy and scrappy. Then I will show you how we're going to join these. And then I thought what I'll do is for the other 3 rows, I'm going to try some different quilt blocks in the center, just some of my favorites. So I thought that would be fun. But we need to get started on this block, right? So first we need 2 squares. And a typical log cabin will have a red square in the center. But this is a scrappy log cabin, so we're just going to pick 2 that we really like. Let's see what we have here. And that's the thing about doing this is we're not supposed to take our time picking out fabrics, but we tend to do that, right? Let's go with these 2. And that's all the squares you're going to need. The rest will be strips. And all you're going to do is put them together, right sides together, and sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Here we go. The center part is done. And for now, I'm just going to finger press just like that. Next, we're going to grab a strip and put it on the bottom here. And this one will fit actually. So I'm just going to lay it right sides together, 1/4 inch seam allowance. Again, finger press or use your handy dandy roller presser. I don't know if that's what you call it, but your handy dandy tool. Okay, so we've got that on there. Then we need to add a piece right here. Let's see, this, just like that, 1/4 inch seam allowance. And we're not worried if it's crooked because it's scrappy, so it's fine. And then if it's too long, just go ahead and trim it, just like that. Next, we're ready to add a piece right here. And the reason I know that is from a tip from the last homely house here on YouTube. If you count, you've got 3 sections. That's where you need to add your next strip. So just grab a strip that fits. That one, no. This one will work. And just lay it across there. 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're going to trim this off. Open. The next piece will go here. As you can see, there are 3 blocks here. So we need to put something there and just grab anything too short. And don't be afraid. I don't think, yep, that would work. Don't be afraid to use any orphan block pieces that you have. This will work. You can just put it like this. That will be fine. 1/4 inch seam allowance. We're trying to use up whatever we have. Trim. But you have to remember that this is actually 1 strip, not 3 strips. So our next place we want to go will be here. 1, 2, 3. So we've got this piece, and I have used this a lot throughout, but it's okay. Maybe that would be the theme of the block. Okay, 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm not even pinning. I'm just trying to get the block done, and I want to sew this out to 12 by 12. Just like that. Next, we want to add to here 1, 2, 3, because remember, this is just one strip that we added here, even though it has 3 pieces in it. So we need to add to the top here. This is so easy, right? Okay, next, it will be here. We have 1, 2, 3. Let's see what we have for strips. So this one will go here. There you go. And we're just going to keep going until we have this out to 12 by 12. And many of the cutting mats now have this white block. This is 12, so that is a good indicator. So we're getting close. When I have it done, I will be back. So fast and so pretty. Next, what I need to do is just get this squared up to 12 inches. And I think I want it like that. Turn it around. I'm just going on the 12-inch line. And now we have our scrappy log cabin ready for border placement. Full disclosure, guys, I totally messed up the borders. I forgot to tell you something very important, so we're going to try again. We have 4 borders. They measure 3 inches by 18 inches. We're going to fold those in half, make a mark, and then we'll pin those right sides together. I already made a halfway mark on my fabric because this is a 12-inch square. And we'll pin that in place. Just like that. Same way with this one. Just like that, and just make a mark so you know where that center is. And we'll pin that in place. Just like that. I made a mark on here. And we'll fold this one. This one will go on here. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and sew the first 2 on, and we'll come back and add the other 2. 1/4 inch seam allowance. Stop about 1/4 inch from the edge of the block on each side. When I have that done, I'll be back. I've sewn a 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving about a 1/4 of an inch on the edge for each one. Flip this up. Flip this one up. Just like that. Next, we want to find the center on this one. I have a center mark with my marking pen right there. And I just want to make sure this is centered. There we go. Just like that. Pin that center mark. Same way for this one. And I do have the center mark, and it's right there. Go ahead and pin that. Now, if you wanted, you could put a pin here. And a pin here, because that's where you're going to stop sewing. Or begin sewing, depending on how you put it in your machine. Just do both sides. We'll go ahead and go to the sewing machine and sew from end to end, and then I'll meet you back here. We've got our border sewn on, and it looks like this. When you press everything out, you've got a little extra, and that's fine. That's where I messed up. What we want to do is go ahead and come in here and trim that off, because we want a square point at the top. Let me turn this around. Just like that. We're going to take off that little piece. And we're going to do that on all 4 corners. Come up here. Take off this extra. And this extra. We might get some mitered corners this time. Just like that. And back up here. And trim this one off. There we go. And hopefully that's where I messed up. Then what we want to do is we're going to pick these up, put them together so they match, and then just pick the whole thing up so you have a triangle. just like that. And then where we backstitched, we're just going to go all the way up to that corner and sew. Here is our back stitch. And if I open that up, I should have a mitered corner. So we're going to put a pin in here, make a mark, oops, just like that. I'm going to go sew at the sewing machine, and I'll come back and hopefully I'll have a mitered corner for you. And I wanted to tell you that you should start stitching from the inside and then go out. All right, are we ready to see if we have a mitered corner? Look at that. It's not perfect, but I'm very happy with that. All right, let's try another one. So we're going to come over here to this side. Again, square this up. Pin that. And then we're going to pick it up so that we have a triangle in the center, lining up the top here. All right, and then we have our triangle, our 12-inch block in the center. And then you're folding all this in. You've got a little dog ear right here. Fold all that in there. And here is where I backstitched to put that border on. And I'm a little crooked here, so I gotta make sure that I'm straight there. Backstitch, corner. Here's my backstitch, here's my corner. I'll pin that, and I'll be right back. Let's see how we did on this one. Not bad, guys. I really like it. And it's a little tight in here, but I'm just going to keep practicing because I really like this. And then we need to cut this off. Just like that. There's another border, corner done. I'll finish these two up and I'll be right back. Before I sew the last one, just remember the key is to tuck in that dog ear like this before you start sewing. It should look like this. Just tuck that in there. And then here is the seam where I'm starting. It'll be just like that. If you need to, pin it down so it doesn't come out. Do a diagonal from your back stitch line. And then you're just going to sew. Our last one, let's give this a trim. Let's open it up. Oh, I forgot to trim this one off. Here we go. You guys do not give up. Just keep trying till you get it. I'm going to press this out and we will get ready to do some quilting. Everything always looks so pretty when it's pressed. I just love this. All right, so we're going to take our backing fabric and lay that down. And this is 18 by 18, and I know I'll have to trim it, which is fine. Because all of my blocks are 16. And then we'll just lay that batting down, or in this case, fleece. The fleece is a little bigger. Awesome. Then we'll lay our block down, making sure that we have backing fabric on each side and we have batting. We do, because we're going to trim this down to 16. And then we'll just throw a couple pins in there. And then I will meet you at the other sewing machine where we'll do some quilting. I'm at the sewing machine, and all I'm going to do for quilting is use the curvy stitch on the machine. On mine, it's number 46. And hopefully, let me see if I can show you that. Right there, number 46. And then I do increase the stitch length to 3. I'll take my pin out right there and just put it over here. You could do a zigzag stitch. I think that would look great. And we're just going to go around and around. Then you can just pivot. It turns out really nice for these larger blocks. It goes really fast. I'm just going in the center of each of our logs. This one, it looks like I missed, so I can catch that on another round, or when I take out the quilt block, then I can just go back and do that one. And around we will go. You can see how fast the quilting goes. And And it has all the squiggly lines. See how fast it goes? And I'm going to come over into the border now. And then I am going to stitch 2 lines of the squiggly lines onto the border. And my presser foot will be on the edge on my first row, all the way around. Because this is going to be a no sashing joining technique that I'll be using. So I need for this to be open. And it looks like I forgot this piece as well, which is fine. We can go back and get that. You could use these blocks for pillows, just all kinds of home decor items. Now I'm coming up and I'm going to do a second line right along this line. Again, I want to leave about a 1-inch piece of the block on this end. All right, when I have this done, I'll meet you back at the sewing table. Look how pretty. And it is big. So now we need to square this to 16 by 16. So I need to take a 1/2 inch off each side for these 2 sides. Let me grab my big ruler and we'll take a 1/2 inch off each side. Because right now it is 17, and I'll line up on that line and see where a 1/2 inch is. And how I can do that is take one of my little rulers. There's a 1/2 inch. There's a 1/2 inch. And we'll trim that. And then flip it over. Take a 1/2 inch off of there. This is not quilting scientific at all, but I think it's going to be okay. All right, let's flip this over. Should we see how we did? 16 and 16. So that should be fine. And then we need to do, what do we have for this one? It is 17 as well, so a 1/2 inch on each side. It is looking really pretty because we're getting it all trimmed up and pretty. And then a 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And then we want to square up at the bottom. There's a 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And I will just make sure, yes. Okay, we've got it squared up. I am going to reposition the camera so that you can see how beautiful this is. What do you think? Isn't that adorable? So easy. And now we have 3 of them. Here's this one, and here's this one. Now I think the video has probably gone a little long. So how about if I do a part 2 on how to join these? I think that'll be easier. And it'll be a shorter video because let me tell you, it is so easy. Okay, before we move on to our Bible verse and devotional, I'd like to give a special shout out to a very special sewing channel that showed up in my feed today. You're going to love her. The name of the channel, Ms. Linda Mielke Quilts. She just published a video called Bits and Pieces, which is what we do here, right? She's a beautiful lady, and as a bonus, she sings beautifully. Her videos make you feel like you're sitting down with a friend who loves quilting just as much as you do. I'll have a link in the description box below. Please go say hello, subscribe, and let Linda know that I sent you. Be sure to check out her videos and show her some love. Before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a Bible verse and a final thought to encourage you. The Bible verse is John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Friends, in the quiet moments of sewing, I'm reminded that the Lord offers us his peace, steady, calming, and unlike anything this world can give. Just as each scrap piece finds its place in the block, God weaves peace into the scattered pieces of our lives. May you rest in that peace today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you so much for watching, commenting, and sharing. I can't thank you all enough, and it means the world to me. And until the next video, God bless you.